I'm Matt Gordon. Title of my speech is Be Smart, Exercise Your Heart. Yeah, cheers. So in my speech, I haven't done a speech since we started the blog topics, so I thought I'd give an overview of my blog topic. Then I'll move on to like a summary of my week 4 blog. Again, I ain't a speech since then. There's a couple of studies in my week 4 blogs that I want to go through, because I think they provide sort of a lot of evidence towards my topic. And then I'll finish off with neurological explanations and also where I think future research should head. So my blog topic is all about physical activity and physical education and sort of the benefits of it or negative effects of it within education. So I'm interested in sort of finding out, you know, does improved physical activity improve academia and vice versa? So my week 4 blog actually showed that there is overwhelming evidence of in support of the benefits of regular physical activity and education. So there is like numerous studies that highlight the sort of effects, the positive effects of education, of exercise, upon education. So there's studies that say as fitness improves sort of through PE, through physical activity, so does education, so does maths and reading skills, for example. Likewise, the fitter the child, the sort of better reading and maths skills they have. Sort of the main criticism I get from sort of the research in this is, I've had this in comments and in questions in my last speech, is that there's not enough time to sort of have more physical activity, physical education in the school day. So I sort of looked into this, and the average school day in the UK is from 9 till 3:30, consisting of 5-hour-long sessions. And this is an average, bear in mind, 68% is also spare on core subjects. So this leaves 7 hours for non-core subjects, so your more creative lessons such as art, your textiles, and also your PE, because core is defined as math, science, and English. So even though the research does suggest an increased PE time, a lot of people say that there's not enough time, and the national curriculum actually states that you need 2 hours of PE a week. So when you've only got 7 hours in that week, that leaves 5 hours for your sort of other non-core subjects, such as your creative ones, such as art and your textiles. So a lot of people say, where are we going to fit more hours of PE in? So I thought I'd look into actually decreasing the core subject time to have more physical education. And to my delight, a couple of studies actually have measured this, written there. So the first study decreased core subject time by 14 to 26%, so they took time out of your maths and your science to have more physical education lessons, and they sort of compared this to a control group who was actually the same class. They sort of measured them for a while, their average sort of test score and how they improve, and then they decreased the core subject time and still measured they continued the same sort of curriculum and tests, and they measured them again, and it actually showed no decreases in the core subject test scores. Interestingly, they said maths actually increased in males, but they didn't state why, they just said it did. And also there was an expected increase in health and fitness. So they concluded saying that if we can decrease core subject time for more physical education, obviously you're going to reap the benefits of health and fitness, then why not if it's not going to reduce the core subject test scores. And the second study, which provides more evidence for this, actually implemented 1 hour of PE a day, which is something I've spoke about in previous blogs and my last speech. And they had 2 variables. One had an hour of PE a day. The other variable had actually increased core subject time, so more maths, more science, more English. And again, they showed no difference in academic performance across variables. So maths scores were still at an average level, science, English, or average level. But again, obviously increased health and fitness for the physical education lot. The interesting thing about this study was the 2-year follow-up data actually favoured experimental students in terms of their reading and their math scores, and teachers reported a calmer classroom, a better teaching environment, if you like. So I started to look into why, because the literature in the area just says it doesn't really say why. So I thought there might be a neurological explanation of it. So the CDE is the California Department of Education, and they do sort of assess their education system, regular updates on it, and they found, like most studies I've said, there's a positive relationship with aerobic fitness and fitness scores. As you can see from the graph, aerobic capacity is sort of like the fitter you are, the higher aerobic capacity you have, and obviously mathematics achievement, I think it says, is also increased. So it's like pretty similar for both. And the CD are actually probably the first people to look into reasons why, and in their paper they linked both reading and fitness both to the frontoparietal network, and they said they concluded, if you like, if both sort of fitness, reading and comprehension are all related to the frontoparietal network, sort of when you're getting active you're obviously activating them sort of neurons in your brain, and they concluded that children can sort of derive the benefits from more physical activity and physical education, and it's obviously going to sort of get the neurons firing and improve their reading and math scores and comprehension scores. So to conclude, there's enough research, I think, that suggests core instruction time can be decreased for more education. I mean, if it's not going to decrease the academic performance, then why not, if it's going to increase the health benefits for academia? So I propose that you do decrease the core physical time, have more physical education, or maybe form more physical activity, because there's research that says physical education can be seen as it's too serious, and some people don't like it and think it segregates kids. So the more sort of athletic kids are more sort of, they'll do all the PE, and they're less athletic kids won't take part. So obviously that needs to be sorted. So maybe more physical activity, which is just sort of anything physical really, should be implemented. So to sort of conclude, I think future research does need to trial and test it. I think an optimum level of how much to decrease the core subject time to replace with PE needs to be sort of determined. I mean, the study sort of did 14 to 26, but the research didn't really say sort of which is best. So I think if there is to be future research in the area, which I think there should be, then I think an optimum time to decrease core subjects and increase physical activity needs to be determined. And also I think the sort of best type of physical activity to do in physical education also needs to be determined for children to reap the benefits of the sort of activity on their education. Yeah. Cheers. Thanks. Any questions? Yeah.
In A-levels, college,
yeah.
different things, we have the opportunity to pick our subjects.
Yeah, yeah.
Some people pick a sport with academic subjects. Some people pick just academic subjects. Do you know if there's any research conducted to show if those people that pick a mixture of sports and academia have increases in learning? Is there research in that area?
No, not really, unfortunately. Sort of the research is sort of school-age children. It's mainly primary school research, but I did sport for an A-level and I didn't do any sport. It's all theory-based. You're supposed to do your sport actually by yourself. You get assessed on it at the end of the year, but you don't actually do any sort of lessons.
Do you do it in clubs?
You have to do it in clubs out of school sort of thing. So the research mainly says that you need to get more children active, basically. So yeah, I understand what you're saying, picking the subjects obviously depends, and obviously at A-level that's where the PE sort of drops off and people aren't getting the exercise, if you like, so that's when it sort of becomes your own judgment really, you've got to go out and do it if it's going to improve. But one of the arguments I think it puts forward, if you do increase sort of physical activity throughout sort of school ages, then when you sort of get to 16, you come into the A-levels, you think you're going to have a sort of predisposition to be active anyway, and you'll hopefully be competing in sports or regular exercise anyway, so hopefully you shouldn't sort of peak and then dip down. So yeah, cheers. Yeah.
Do you think maybe it's the not necessarily the school's responsibility, but it's the parents that in raising the children's awareness in how this sport is a lifelong thing. It's never that benefit is never going to go away. That you can carry on doing sports, it always helps. Do you think the awareness that maybe needs to be raised?
I completely agree. I think it obviously doesn't just lie with schools, it is parents, and I think television and stuff like that needs to promote it more. The Olympic Legacy was apparently supposed to do that, but it hasn't really sort of taken off yet. But yeah, like I completely agree. I think if we are ever going to increase activity in kids, it just needs to get them aware that sort of the sort of health benefits of it and the health aspects obviously going to improve them. And maybe if you tell them that it might improve your academic performance, that might motivate. So yeah, I think do agree like more children need to sort of be made aware. Yeah.
I agree with like all of it basically, but I fear about taking away some of the more subject hours. I don't know. I know a lot of schools, a lot of private schools, put a lot of money into making their schools
Yeah.
sports schools, and that, I mean, my ex-boyfriend went to private school. Every day, the amount of hours of sport they did, every single student was involved in it, had to be involved in it from year 7
Yeah.
right through to finish. And I think that's just amazing. Like, they
No,
all
I
get
agree.
the grades obviously so much better. There's obviously reasons why they might be better grades, but
Yeah.
the amount of sport that they have, I think all of that needs to be spread over not just private sports schools.
Yeah.
All schools, so that idea maybe, like rather than taking away from the core subjects, maybe just spreading the idea of just supporting sport for more hours. They
Yeah.
do sport from when they finish like 3 or 4 o'clock until 7, 8 o'clock at night and dinner and so shake bed.
Yeah.
It's just like how they live every day, and like I know that's probably not how all students want to live, but there's doing that. I mean, that's like loads of hours, but I mean the hours that they aren't many. So even if you do that
Yeah.
every day until 4 or 5 o'clock, then it's still going to be more of a benefit, and you wouldn't have to take away from the 4 hours.
Yeah, like I agree. Like, I personally don't think core should be decreased, but I don't think there's enough opportunity for sort of public school children. Yeah, like the competitive side I think lacks.
And the time activities as well, you said about finding the right
Yeah,
time to suit everyone, and I think that is more than doable. Like,
yeah,
there's
yeah,
so
easy.
much you can do, and I think you cater for the right children in the right way, and you really careful about how you do that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, cheers. Yeah, do you have another one? Yeah.
Do you think that in the society we have today, we have so much emphasis on extreme sports and outdoor sports such as like Tough Mudder, you've got MMA, you've got all of those different things that can't be done in schools, that the focus shouldn't really be on the schools providing it, but as was said just before,
Yeah.
the parents giving a fostering attitude towards it, and also the communities providing that kind of an advertisement within the community and reducing the cost, subsidising the cost and things like that. It's not really the schools on the whole.
Yeah, I agree. I think the downside to extreme sports is they are expensive. So Tough Mudder is £80, is it to do? £60 to do. It's not ideal, but I did my emotion blog actually talked about why people motivate to do extreme sports, and I found in that research suggests like people who do extreme sports are more motivated to do like sort of regular sports, if you like, and keep active. Yeah. But like no, I agree. Like I think it's not just schools that needs to sort of promote it. It's sort of everyone really. Yeah. So did you have one more? Did you?
Yeah, I was just going to say, I'm also quite wary of taking over time from the core subject,
Yeah.
just any subject. But then again, like you said, having a 9 to 5 day, and in my head that makes sense because when children go to school, they're going to be expected to do a 9 till 5
Yeah.
job.
Exactly.
And it doesn't, to me, make sense why, obviously the whole thing is you do 9 to 3:30, but you get half an hour break and you get an hour lunch. I don't think that it's preparing students for the real world, and that, because also as well, when you go to work, you're going to have to work for your lunch times, you're going to have to give up some of your breaks,
Yeah.
and you're going to have to do work after that as well. So I think it may be
Like sort of extending the school day for more. Yeah.
Also, that would cut a lot of costs on childcare as well. So you
Exactly.
think everyone else
Stay in
their
school,
parents.
stays in school from like till like 5.
Yeah.
You still get like an hour and a half every single day, like so
It's
great.
like the world is this. Get them until 5.
Exactly.
Killing children.
And then you sleep better because you do extra.
Well, yeah. But it's what you do in your adult life, isn't it? So yeah. So, good. Cheers, guys.